Greetings, everybody, and welcome once more to the Dracovin Empire. Are you ready to dive back into the world of Golarion, the setting for the Pathfinder role-playing game system? Because if you are today, we are heading once again to TNZ and the Nation of... We're going to be learning all about that, and if you're ready, host and guide here, I can reach out my hand, take you with me. I can open up the gate through time, space, and the universe, from our world to Golarion, to take us there and learn all about Quain, his history, everything you might want to know about. So, grab my hand, it's time to travel. To Quain we go! Right. So there are a couple of sources other than myself I can suggest to you. Of course, I mainly use one of my big sources, the TNZ World Guide, which I show off here, but Dragon Empire's Gazetteer provides an older look at it, a first edition. Let's dive into Quain. What it is, where it is, all that stuff about it. So Quain is a successor state of the Imperial Lung Wa. That's an important part to talk about. It is also the largest center of martial arts training in the continent. Also a big thing to talk about. It is a place that is one of the three major splits from Lung Wa. Lung Wa, basically after its fall, created three major nations that are its successor. Lingshan, Poli, and Quain. The militarists ended up in Lingshan, religious faction, Poli, and traditionalists went to Quain. Now that isn't to say Quain hasn't evolved since that destruction of Lung Wa, fall of Lung Wa. Certainly it is. The traditionalist faction doesn't exist the way it did back 100 years ago. But yes. It still has a divided history with these other ones. But this is a good place to remember where it is, where it started, all these things, when we dive into its history. Haiming is the capital, and its current ruler is the monarch emeritus, Nilongso. So it's a martial monarchy. Yeah, that's a lot to sit down on. It's had a new government for about 15 years. We will talk all that when we get to it. Let's dive into that history of Quain, understanding. So, after Lung Wa fell, Quain as it was fell into its old way of doing things. Quain's government and the place was ruled by a hereditary king. The last one being King Wen, we'll talk about, who was at the time supported by a bureaucracy of eunuchs. Eunuchs being castrated males. Yep. Treachery, intrigue were basically common amongst the eunuch class, but most were loyal, diligent servants of Quain in general. So, with each other, not so much. And they held the government roles, managed commerce, diplomacy, and a lot of other things. This changed. And we'll talk about how all this changed when we talk about the government. But just know now, it involved human sacrifice, which wasn't needed. But it led to the destruction of that cycle, and the rebirth of the new Quain as we know it now. Let's talk about this nation. So, martial arts, feuding sets, cultivation, and of course the monarch emeritus at top of it. Grandmasters that rule without greed and power. It is in a way the poorest in military might and spiritual fervor, but richest in true heroes. Everything in Quain revolves around martial arts. It has. In fact, cultivators. Hey, we'll talk about this. The cultivators found out about what was going on with the government and helped get the new government. So it turns out, martial arts. The cultivators are hand-to-hand fighters who leverage ki. They go on the wilderness roads, battle against each other in formal groups. If you shirk, if your martial arts that shirk their due, are spurned and punished and made into recanters. They're forbidden from practice of cultivation. We'll talk about recanters too. It's an important part of this. They replaced the eunuchs. Fights over control of settlements basically is a big thing because whoever rules a place is the sovereign and their word is law. So martial artists sects will battle over who rules a place. Each village has their own baptist of champions who are in charge, their own set of techniques, martial practices, and on top of these are the four great sects, which are the strongest, and bend the knee to the monarch emeritus. So, being a hero in Quain, well, anybody can be a hero, but only 1,000 at a time. Because are only 1,000 people known as Grandmasters. And they have legendary tales about them. These are legendary, superpowered martial artists. They have a magical force known as the balance that keeps this number of masters an exact 1,000 for reasons. And they're competitive, constantly invigorating. They clash, the earth splits, tides heaves, skies explode mystic force. When one falls, another rises, balances intact. Ascension is the process of becoming a Grandmaster. It's long and dangerous. There is no short path. When a cultivator ascends, they have intense transformation that basically alienates them from commoners and other martial artists. They seek kindred souls, and sometimes that leads to violence. Sometimes it leads to intimacy. So you can be friends one day, enemies the next, lovers the next after that. Even the common folk of Quain practice martial arts. A farmer might blitz down rolls under heavy yokes, tilling the earth on their own. Fishermen may catch squids of crab and carp by hand. Woodcutters sharpen axe on their arms, gritting their skin with key to become whetstones themselves. Cooks work at 7 stations at once, balancing pots on their knees, juggling knives. Wisdom cultivation is an everyday life in Quain. All citizens benefit, not just the masters. So, the martial literacy is attributed to the Council of Recanters, part of the government, which basically serve as civil servants and have 2 goals. No one set monopolizes cultivation, and improve Quain's prospects. And the keys to this is the wish cycle, a magical process that occurs every 12 years and designates the next monarch in Metros. We'll talk about it. This has a dark history. Anyway, there's our basics of the little bit of history of Quain as it is now, post Lung Wa's fall. Who went there, how it was established. It was the martial arts, the traditionalists of the nation, and they became a martial art nation once corruption and an old king was rooted out. Here's Quain. It's not really small, not really large. It's about 2,000 miles across. It has a lushness that lasts for size. It has rich farmland. It populates its shores and bountiful rivers. It teems with life. There's farming, fishing, and fighting are the 3 F's of Quain. Its earth is dark and pliable and conductive to yields of all kinds of crops. A lot of farmers will have things, even other flora from other realms beyond TNZ. Non-native herbs that may have magical or medical properties to aid in martial arts masters are a good opportunity to grow that as a little bit of a profit thing. I can cultivate these herbs as part of my garden or part of my farming, sell them to the martial artists, get a good profit. The land's here good for it. So its hillsides bristle with harvests. It can have Tandoran lilies, Thuvian orchids, you name it. But also it has a lot of the crops that are native to TNZ. Rice, sweet potatoes, cabbage, onions, those sort of things. Its waterways all stem from the Golden River, one of the longest rivers in TNZ, and its primary trade route. Legends say celestial dragons, when they're tired from the stars, perspire on the earth to form the river, whose waters turn gold at dawn and dusk. Locals living will sprinkle pebbles onto the shore of the river and claim that such stones are nuggets of pure gold, and then sell them to outsiders. And it's a grift that everyone in the area is in, just a little bit more money. There's tributaries to the Golden River, the Dragon Sweat Run, I love the name of that place. It offshore heads toward the Iron Mountains, carrying fertile silt and mineral deposits. Flash uds will send ores to the surface, and plenty of prospectors will eager to grab it. Locals do claim a massive river serpent guards the runs waters, and so for thunderstorms signal its displeasure when people will farm treasures. North of the Dragon Sweat Run is the misty Irian Forest. It's thick and temperate. Its wood produced most of the kingdom's lumber. Fir, larch, bamboo, redwood, willows. Local conservation like to boast that 90% of the wildlife there is indigenous to Quain. Its most famous fauna are playful Xiaoto, a species of intelligent gibbon known for snatching items, weapons, or often traps. Beyond the Iron Mountains, a finger of the ephemeral ocean probes inwards towards the ephemeral rift, and it's a saltwater inlet that separates Quain from the northern shores of Navigul. It teems with storms, fogs, and sea monsters. If you're southbound travelers, they say take the routes through Lingshan and Poli. It'll add days, not weeks. But if you try to go across the rift and survive, you know why you do not go against the rift anymore. It's not pleasant. Let's talk about the cities in the nation. Haiming. It's home of the Vestal King of the Monarch Emeritus, the capital city, the heart of Quain's bureaucracy. It's the ancestral home to the enduring Jade clan, the forebearers founding the capital hundreds of years ago. The statue of the Yu family's progenitor Yu Ma, is one of the first Grand Masters to ever walk Quain, stands in the town center. It's a hub of trade, education, politics. It teems with activity, including destruction. Basically, hey, cultivators will duel, destroy tea houses, market stands, libraries, and vault brawls. And to curb this, the Council of Raincancers has created multiple sanctuary arenas for formal duels. Even so, carpenters and masons throughout the Quain have a saying: to grow rich, move to Haiming. A lot of stuff's going to get destroyed. Other cities to mention by name that we don't have a lot about are as Kitai, known for its festivals and dancers that attract swaths of foreign visitors, including dances based on various dragons, lions, and basilisks. And Nanzu, an agrarian center in southeastern Quain. Known for its sprawling, supposedly haunted hilltop cemetery and monkeys that roam the streets. Thank Dragon Emperor's Gazetteer for that. So. Provides a little bit of information. The only place to talk about that we know is an interesting location to mention is the Temple of the Whispering Spider. It was once a temple in the Ariu Forest dedicated to Lao Shu Po, an unholy shrine. Basically, it's become a dilapidated lair of a giant arachnid, said to once be a royal maiden that was going to exchange their heart for celestial core, rejected their fate, was turned into a spider. But the villagers revere the arachnid and say it's a righteous defiance in the face of evil. We will talk about it here. But the locals believe that the Whispering Spider protects them from the dark spirits of the temple. Alright, we should talk about who's in charge. And here's one of the leaders of the four families who are in charge of this place. We'll talk about the four families. Of course, the current monarch, Amitrus monarch, and a little bit about the cantors here. So, and this is Yuan Yi. Or no, Neil Alonso. I'm sorry, his name. I have the name on there. I'm confusing it for someone else. Anyway, on a local level, martial sex control settlements uphold their own laws and customs. Turf wars are common. Former duels, spontaneous skirmishes, and planned insurrections happen daily. Amongst these warring factions, who leads them all? The four great sects, the most powerful institutions in Quain. Headmaster of the Cloud Crane School is Yuan Yi, Samerson, who's been alive for 12 incarnations and Grandmaster for 10. Insightful, Yuan Yi has been known to observe someone for several minutes and then make remarks about their deepest, most hidden insecurities. The Leader of the Divine Chaos Cult is a cunning, easygoing Grandmaster known as Kanton. It's a kitsune that has an intentionally unsettling balance between his human disguise and his true anthropomorphic form. Half his face is that of a gorgeous human man, the other is a fox's. And with a low-slung tunic, he reveals the top surgery scars. He basically disturbs other cultivators with his strange appearance. Head of the Shadow Tongue Temple is Wu Ku, a human whose grandmaster with an opposing figure of 6.5 feet tall. She's a stoic, muscular woman, eyes like thunder. Shaved head, broad shoulders, scars them more than it can count. Basically, she embarked on a journey of ascension. She swore she would give herself a wound for every life she took. She ran out of space and carved over old scars. And the enduring Jade clan is led by Yu Ha, a basically half-elf, half-Tengu grandmaster who's an immortal monarch of the family. The edges of her face bleed into black coal feathers that ripple down her spine to form tail feathers. Her enjoying Jade scions have taught at a young age to associate with peers of similar rank. They're destined for greatness. If you fail to measure up to the family, you're rejected. And these all answer to, of course, the Recanters, former cultivators now magically barred from practicing the martial art again. They are the bureaucrats that keep the nation going. They handle everything: paperwork, border security, trade, national relations. Becoming a recanter is never an accident. It's either a choice, or in rare cases, a second chance. The majority of recanters are retired martial artists who still want to change Quain. They basically give up their cultivation abilities to just do that. Others, cultivator who commit terrible deeds and have the ability to cultivate taken from them. Basically, if you are a cultivator, get in trouble with the law, you might lose your abilities. After a restitution period, and these reformed villains are basically given an opportunity to restore public faith by serving Quain as their recanter. Above these is the Monarch Emeritus, a former Grandmaster and ruler of Quain. Every 12 years, the Monarch Emeritus passes their title to a chosen Grandmaster successor, selected sometimes during their reign. Being chosen is both a great honor and a deep sorrow. Upon taking the throne from their predecessor, the new Monarch Emeritus must make a perilous journey through the Iron Mountains and summon the Celestial Dragon. They trade their accumulated cultivation for a single Celestial pearl. A powerful wish, used to ensure Quain's prosperity. And for the next 12 years, the Monarch Emeritus rules Quain as a non-cultivator. This is known as the Wish Circle, and the people of Quain consider it to be the most sacred divine tradition. Here's where what I've kind of come around, gone over. Oh, this is the current Monarch Emeritus, Long Wa. Quain was ruled by a king and his daughters. Every 12 years, a royal maiden exchanged her heart for celestial pearl, dying painfully in the process. Basically, after the events of one of the Ruby Phoenix tournaments, the recanters of Quain discovered that a celestial pearl of even greater quality could be produced if a Grandmaster willingly gave up their ability to cultivate. Basically, they've been hiding this fact and sacrificing women, members of their family line, to keep in power. The royal maidens could be spared, and the kingdom would flourish even greater if the Grandmasters, if one of them, would be willing to give up their abilities and everything they've trained for in order to make Quain great. To sacrifice their ability for a pearl, for a wish. So yeah. That's the end of the old king system. Lilongo here is a jubilant and dedicated Quain, who's a star pupil of the Cloud Crane School. Hailed from Goku. They were previously chosen by the previous Monarch Emeritus for their stalwart conviction, heroism, and unflagging optimism, and faith in Quain's institutions. When they ascended to Grand Mastery, Lilongo grew to the size of a human, with their gaunt edges filled out with muscle. They have not dwelt on their lost Grandmaster status, and thrown themselves into their duties to serve the kingdom, which basically took them in years ago. So, Lilongo was glad to give up their abilities to continue to serve Quain, and, basically make their adopted home even stronger. I love this picture here. Let's talk about Quain, its people a little bit, and life in Quain. Even before the rooster crows in the morning, cultivators are already up. They've been up for hours, honing their bodies in temples, squares, running drills, going under roaring waterfalls, stealing their minds with meditation. And to accommodate these valued customers, hundreds of shops follow the rhythm of this early morning trading. Restaurants, ranging from hole-in-the-wall inns to ritzy establishments, offer breakfast specials promising to move one's cultivation. Key-hardening beef noodle soup, mind-focusing tea steeped eggs, breath-expanding blanched bok choy. Also early to rise are the hardy folk who work the land and water. Farmers are knee-deep in fields, tilling out their animals, pulling weeds, watering crops. Fishermen boats are on the water before dawn. There's workers that are retired martial arts masters. Some of them are. Others are just commoners that really don't want to dedicate their life to cultivation, So it's sort of like there's the people that love the martial arts, love fighting and stuff. There's people that just I just want to, farm, As the sun rises, temples open, streets thicken, market squares bloom. Young hopefuls head towards training halls, joke with their schoolmates, old masters bark orders, pass on the legacy of the next generation. From noon until 4, manual labor is taking extended, government-mandated lunch break. It's too hot to fish or farm, and people need to recharge. During this period, cultivators also frequent town hubs. They research new techniques, gather materials, attend duels. This is the heavy traffic for most cities in most areas in this early afternoon. Popular establishments have their big parts of the day. Restaurants, specialty sauce for cultivators, massage parlors, grocery stores. As the sun dips towards the Golden River, students return home and workers embark to the next labor cycles. Farmers perform evening chores, return animals, clean up, watering, feeding, preparing for the next day. Shops close. Most artisan stores like libraries, smithies, and conservatories, others open. Afternoon bleeds into night. The second day sweeps Quain. Dance theaters, gambling houses, bars raise their shutters, catering to evening-bound clientele. Popular pastimes watching martial dance, where performers expertly mimic cultivation forms to tell a story of Quain's history, culture, or society. And a lot of these performers are martial artists themselves. And instead of striving for more power, they basically use their cultivation to seek an art with it. Some traders also only work during the night. The Golden River has freshwater squid that only show up during the night. So squid fishers head out and work from dusk till dawn. Certain flora also. The elusive crystalline moonflower, plant which has applications in potion salves and poultices that help cultivation. It blooms under the moonlight, so harvesters wait to night. Granted, there are certain beasts and creatures that are brought to this, so if you are a harvester of moonflower, you also have to know some self-defense. There's also night knights, special cultivators, that are more active at dark. They rest during the day, come out at night. They practice techniques that rely on shadow, deception, and poison. Many of them learn to see without seeing, have a strong sense of hearing, taste, smell, touch. They find work as assassins, and some are the most feared in all of Quain. Basically, civilians will light incense at their windowsills to ward them off. Some places will have offerings of silver or fruit or precious gems and stew, hoping to avoid trouble, but no one's guaranteed safety. Not until the rooster crows and the day starts anew. Quain has 4 seasons, but the 4 seasons are linked to the 4 great sects. Hey, the Cloud Crane School, Divine Chaos School, Enduring Jade Clan, and Shadow Tongue Temple. Talking about the leaders, we can talk about the seasons and how these are connected. Basically, during each of these seasons, the power of these clans grows in strength. When the season arrives, the sect experiences a surge in power, and the practitioners make brilliant discoveries, new techniques, ascend to greater heights. Each has their Grand Master, each has their schools of martial arts. Spring is Cloud Crane. It is one of the more prominent academies for aspiring cultivators, and has an ascension rate of 1%. That is 1% of all students become Grand Masters. With hundreds of pupils graduating every year, and tens of thousands of people applying to the school, it's a staggering number. So dozens of Grand Masters trace their beginnings to the Cloud Crane School. It has unparalleled education and a major contributor to the ascension. They wear long flowing robes reminiscent of heron's wings, and they also tie white ribbons around their wrists to twirl artfully as they fight. The Divine Chaos cult is connected to summer. It's unconventional, quasi-religious sect that worships multiple deities, practices multiple techniques, branches into multiple disciplines. Their philosophy is they have none. No central philosophy. Basically, cherry-pick their favorite cultivation styles, smash them together, and see what happens. Sometimes dizzying heights, sometimes unstable heights. It's haphazardous, unprecedented. It's mismatched armor that they kind of wear that marks their style. Their high-risk, high-reward approach creates grandmasters. It also makes abominations because, in the height of summer, monster attacks surge as some of their cultivators evolve into beasts because of their magically empowered experimentation. It happens. Fall is controlled by the enduring Jade Clan, the dynasty that passes the secret technique from parent to child. It is the heart of this clan is the Yu family. Hey, there are only 3 ways to join this lineage: be born a Yu, befriend a Yu, or marry a Yu. Each generation builds upon the ancestral knowledge, learning from past mistakes, generating new breakthroughs. Their saying goes, like Jade, our color deepens with time. Fall gives way to winter. In fall, the Enduring Jade Clan hosts the Four Winds Conference, a place with martial arts masters forge new bonds, gouge their rivals, improve and trade techniques. With proper behavior, the Yu family upholds a strict no duels rule. The conference is a place to share wisdom and spirit of siblinghood, not to test your mettle. Invitation there is highly common. Now, winter. Winter is the domain of the Shadow Tongue Temple, one of the more fearsome of the Nightback sects. Impressive feat itself. Garbled in sleek black robes, apostates move through the night with singular purpose, strike terror in the hearts of their enemies. They paint their faces with white rice paste, daubing blotches of vermilion on their cheeks and jaws to indicate rank and purpose. Practitioners of Shadowrun believe that fear, pain, and misdirection are the cultivators' greatest weapons against evil. So basically, they use assassination stuff to hunt the evils of the world. Many of their techniques funnel towards mastering pain, inflicting it upon others. New initiates are actually required to slit their own tongues with no numbing agents. The brave few who have toughed it out are rewarded with unique facial markings made from their own blood. This is pleasant. We can talk a little bit more about the culture, because it revolves around martial arts. We've talked about their sex, we've talked about their day, we've talked about their year, but there's a lot of sects, schools, temples, factions that populate the entire area, each with their own style, that claim is their pinnacle of cultivation. There are more martial arts techniques in the stars than stars in the sky, and they all think they shine the brightest. That's the set. Of course, the highest form of heroines, the Grand Masters. But even farmers and chefs know how to throw a punch. Everybody learns. So regular folk in Quain can be basically an intent conversation about martial arts feeding, cultivation, and latest techniques that can surprise any outsider. So, like, a regular guy could be like, oh yeah, you know, I heard about this latest technique that's coming up in here and this thing here. I don't know why I went like backwater. So that's fun. You know, I know about those latest techniques. I heard about them, you know. Do I need to use them? No, but I can learn about it. You know, most people that think Quain think the brilliant heroes and then just all citizenry. But no, they all have some martial arts training and know how to hold a fight. So, yeah, no two towns are exactly the same with culture and history. And the ideal structure is basically to the faction that controls it. When an old faction goes, a new one moves in, and they basically have to balance out strength versus basically social diplomacy because someone might resent the changes in the way things work. And the laws can differ. Killing in one village might be forbidden, others might indulge in. Theft harshly punished, another might encourage it. Basically, the regional laws only apply to the faction's sphere of influence, though. But outside this, there's common edicts that hold. These universal law that everyone in Quain, including the wilderness, neutral zones, and contested areas. Common edicts include no killing, honor your word, and duelists must abide by turns. There is some butts to this entire thing, some beats to it. Basically, the local rule directly contradicts a common edict. The local rule holds. There is 3 exceptions to this entire thing, though. 3 rules that do not get broken, no matter what your common local rules are. The 3 golden rules. Your greatest allegiance is to Quain. The word of the monarch and Metru is law, and the wish cycle of Quain must be honored. Those are the 3 major things. Grandmasters at the top, of course, as I've talked about, and they are separated from average citizens. They impact the nation. Basically, they dominate the martial arts. A single Grandmaster can defeat thousands of warriors, split a mountain, strike a god, or so they say. And there's that 1,000 that are exact in Quain at all times. You know, several die, one ascends. When one rises, one falls. The balance maintains, which is said to have arrived from the first monarch of Metris by the celestial dragon. But no one knows for sure. Very few cultivators ever reach this level, and it's insular and volatile community. So, when a new Grandmaster ascends, the current ones feel it, such as the basically currents describe a ripple in the balance, tugging 6 cents. If you are an ousted Grandmaster, you become black sheep, spurned by the elite siblinghood until they reclaim a place or die trying. They have a complete understanding of martial skill. And basically, because they have this abilities beyond normal people at this point in time, only other Grandmasters can know other Grandmasters. That's where the relationships happen. Where they can be best friends, fight themselves to death, deep lovers, and they can change rapidly as it is needed, because only they know each other. If you're an outsider that travels to Quain for powerful techniques, rumored for martial secrets, feuding sex combat champions, there's a lot of history and tension. But those military probes that might be from another state, if you don't cause trouble, the people of Quain are live and let live. You know, maybe you're just learning to learn some martial techniques. Maybe they're looking for military secrets that your country can use against you. Cough, cough, clean shit. Cough, cough, COVID. But as long as you don't cause any trouble, you're fine. But there you go. there's Quain, a fascinating country, because it is very hard to tell where the culture of Quain has been, because it has existed probably for a long time. I'm guessing the entire process of the Monarch Emeritus and the Pearls, the Wish Cycle, has existed for a very long time. But how long, where it came in, when did it change post this thing, where there's a lot of questions that I wasn't able to easily find answers for very quickly in my research. But it is a very interesting thing that this part of the Imperial Lung Wa, the strength of the martial artists, can still be seen. And it was always there. Certainly speaking, the government has changed incredibly rapidly, and basically now the martial arts are in charge. Basically, it's sort of like the martial artists were leaving the governing to the king and the eunuchs and all those things, and the people in charge. And they were continuing the cycle and keeping Quain great, keeping it strong, keeping the wishes there to keep the strength and greatness and power Quain. Lied and sacrificed life when they didn't need to. That's what's driven the martial artists to take a hand in it themselves. Recanters to take a hand in themselves to make Quain what it is now. 15 years on since this major change, and certainly speaking, parts of this were in the nature of Quain to begin with. That's probably true. But again, it's just an interesting thing to see the evolution of Quain and its strength as it is now. And I hope you enjoy diving into it, learning all about it, and the great martial arts factions that exist in Quain. I'll leave it there. Please make sure to check out all my other stuff, whether that's on YouTube or Twitch. Go hanging out with me over on Twitch. That's where I'm recording a lot of this stuff live, doing live plays of TTRPGs, discussing tabletop Saturdays at 6. We talk about news of the week, dive into some things and deeper discussion topics. I've also got some gaming I do over there, variety gaming. If you want to check me out on YouTube, hey, all my tabletop stuff goes up over there. And later, a couple days afterwards, later in the week, it's on a schedule. All those schedules for when I'm either live or uploading, those go up on my social media. That's my Discord, my Blue Sky, my Twitter/X. Those are the great places that I let people know my schedule, updates, all those kind of things, what's going on with my life, cat pictures, all great things that I hope you would love to check out and enjoy. Do remember to, as I said at the beginning, like, subscribe, ring the bell, all those great things, and let me know what you think of Quain here. It's an interesting nation, I do think. And I do like hearing a lot about it and learning a lot. So I hope you did too. Anyway, I'm going to get going. And until next time, I bid all of you out there a deep and wonderful farewell.